You know what I will say to this is my greatest criticism because on the back of the ancestors and the people that were here, and they did such a great job despite what they had all gone through. They built, monumental systems and communities and all that and functioning schools for their kids. They did all of that, within the family structure. That every time people talk about bringing things back to scale, they want to go straight back to what it was and they ignore the entire rebuilding process. So when AP I think said something about we don't they the distributors, I don't think anybody realizes that you can do something that's going to be big on a smaller scale. That's how you start a business in the first place. If y'all not don't notice, we always think about doing things on the largest scale of what the top Fortune 500 people are doing in it with immediate effect. That's not how these businesses even started, right? So even a Drake, even a Diddy or Jay Z or somebody who's trying to do something and it's like, nope, I'm going vertically integrated my own people. You see what I'm saying? He doesn't have to do it on that scale. He can do it on a even local and take over municipality to municipality, city to city, state to state. Now you can do it like that. In that way, these people won't even see you coming, right? So,
That's originally how artists blew up. They would
yep,
like when hip hop was a real true era, you had to take over your block, then your like in New York rather,
yep,
your borough, then the city, then you know what I mean? Then you could move from state to state with that. I think
And then
we
you're brought
don't
up on RICO charges.
yeah, man.
Like
Fuck.
HD already HD said it. Like they own the game, they own the rules to it. It's unfortunate. But I was sitting here though because I've always been one to think we need to find a way to quit making excuses and just do some shit, just do some stuff. But as soon as we listen to this clip, it sounded like we couldn't take the criticism. It sounded like we immediately went, aside from Trigger Mike, it sounded like we went pretty adverse to the actual criticism that he was talking about when the theory of his point is quit thinking about other people and focus on yourself and your own community. Like that was the whole theory of his whole point, right? But like I know I'm thinking I'm like, okay, I like that, but every time we kept getting shot down. So can I not take the criticism and just truly accept his theory as something maybe we should really focus on?
I agree with you that we should like so there things exist that are detrimental or potential glass ceilings, right? I'm 100% of belief that even though they exist, you should try and smash through them. But it becomes circular because there's so many of them that even when we talk like how you was like, did they Rico them? You know what I'm saying? We run back right into it. It's like you can't like people be like, don't blame XYZ. But if you ask why enough, you get back to XYZ every single time. If you just keep asking why, like, oh, what's your last name? Da 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 da. Why is that your last name? Well, da 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 da. Why did that happen? Da dum dum. We right back at that point. You get what I'm saying? I
not
and I
that dumb.
da dum dum. And I'm saying we do need to push forward at all costs, right? But it's kind of disingenuous to pretend like what he said is 100% true. Like that's not our we not just focused on them all. Most of the time we trying to figure out how to avoid interacting and having to deal with the like this whole conversation was centered around how could we get through the glass ceiling while avoiding the pitfalls. I think that if that's the what he meant, we can't do that. That's like saying I'm gonna ignore the seatbelt in a car crash. It's a safety precaution. You have to figure out and pre-solve for that stuff, in my opinion.
No, I agree with that. I also wanted to say that the the part in the video where he said nobody's thinking about you is super disingenuous. The most creative ideas, the product itself, the consumer itself, where they put their businesses, all has to do with the Black community. Like to say that they're not thinking about the Black community is like, it's asinine at this point, because it is typically their largest consumer, right? Maybe not in numbers, but definitely in dollars.
So I think I took it to say, I could be wrong. I took it to say that he was saying nobody's thinking about helping you. And in
Oh,
that
I
case,
agree with him.
that's what I thought he was saying. Because he then on the other side he said, because you made a good point, but I heard it that because on the other side he said they're thinking about helping. Well, they're thinking about themselves, so they're not thinking about helping you. They're thinking about helping themselves. That's what I thought. The context in which he was saying it, and to that I wholeheartedly agree.
But even with that, even in not thinking about you to help themselves, there's always the added step of placing roadblocks for harm so that you don't get to where they get to as well.
Oh
Like
yeah, oh yeah.
it's not just this innocent, we're just looking at ourselves. There's
Yeah.
always harm that's inflicted on the Black
You
community.
know what? People say I'm white splaining when I say it like this, but that to me is natural. That to me is natural. When you have to leave a barrier for your competition because we look at it as oppression on many levels. That's why I'm like, I don't call everything racism because I can clearly see most business moves when they happen because I know for a fact that people look at Black people as a threat, meaning on all levels. They look at you as a physical threat. When you are well put together, they look at you as as a more dominant, more attractive figure to, the one person, if they're trying to block anybody, the person who has the ability to galvanize everyone, for some reason, as much as people claim to hate Black people around the world, Black people, or especially like Black men, tend to be the coolest person at every company, right? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like they're like, oh man, if I let this person in, they're gonna take all the attention. So I've noticed a lot of that going on to where they're isolating the person that can potentially steal their thunder. And that part I don't always call racist because I think it's a clear business move.
This reminds me of the conversation we was having about jealousy. Like, yeah. Oh, maybe I can ask y'all what do you think jealousy is a result of, or where does that come from?
Penis envy. I'm just, but for real,
Not specifically speaking to no group, just where does the feeling of jealousy come from?
insecurity.
Okay, yeah, that's what I said too.
Is it really insecurity? I mean,
Or
because
just wanting
like
something, just wanting something that somebody else has.
the lack thereof, like that, like lacking. I don't know if it's
and
necessarily
you're
insecurity.
insecure, and you're insecure about your lack of about your ability to get it yourself. That's all. I think it's still insecurity, right? You're insecure about not having it, and insecure about your lack of ability to get it. So I think that it stems from that. Although the latest characterization of that is the Deion Sanders saga. Boy, they hating on this dude because no, he's not as great a coach as some of the greater Pac-12 coaches, but he way cooler than you. He's getting way more attention to you. I'm telling you, they hate when dudes like, especially Black dudes like that, show up. They just bring so much attention. And it doesn't even matter how many, well, it does matter how many games he wins, but his style is so different that he just make people look boring. He making whole programs that's been developing for 15 years. Nobody even talking about them this season. So, it's just, that's where envy stems from. It's giving them a deep insecurity about their lack of coolness, the way they
Such
talk.
a confidence about himself. Like he just has a.
Yeah, he definitely got a swag.
Every coach he played for like 5 weeks straight threw shots at him in a press conference before the game. It's crazy.
Is there a difference between envy and jealousy?
There is. I looked this up like a month ago.